Sorry about that. I forgot I had my old uniform on. I was a bushman. And I'm talking about finance. So I had to get into my collar and tie again. Because now I'm the branch manager of Broadlands Finance in Timaru. I'm a big shot in town. Anyway, we had trouble selling our house because we had a house in Tynwald. And I said to my boss, David Heald was the man at the time, and I said, David, I can't sell my house. 6 months have gone by and I'm commuting backwards and forwards from Timaru to Ashburton. I can't sell my house. He said, Ron, go and buy a house. Don't worry about the money. We'll look after the money. So I went and bought a house. I bought a new house. It was only about 12 months old. A poor guy that owned it had gone broke, and he moved out of there into a caravan. But it was a nice home. My wife didn't like it much because it was too new. She wasn't used to having things so new. I worked from the offices of Campbell, Bishop and Bailey. They were the agents for Broadlands at the time, and I worked out of their offices in the old Empire Hotel above the Westpac Bank until they pulled it down. And then Bailey, Campbell and Bishop moved to the old Government Life building, and I worked in there with them. We then went to the MLC building because that came up for lease. Dick Bishop was the man I dealt with mainly. He was the principal of Bishop, Campbell and Bailey. Russell Dockrell later joined the firm. But the objective of the exercise for us as a company for Broadlands was to open a centre in the main street, because at the time Broadlands had centres in the main areas of all the towns throughout New Zealand, and the objective was for us to own our own offices in the main street. The council objected strongly to us opening on the main street. They didn't want finance companies on the main street, they just wanted banks. But we had a building society as well, so we eventually convinced them that we were going to be doing good for the community because we were taking investments in and lending it back out into the community. After we opened the Broadlands Centre on the main street in Stafford Street, where May's Bakery is now, all the others started to follow. Marrick, and all the building societies, Northern Building Society and all that, they all opened on the main street. And of course it's all changed again now, but that's the way things go. Some of the people that I employed when I was the manager of Broadlands Finance were Charlie Pulley, Carol Smedley, who's now Carol Newman, Mary Billington, Mary Handy, Jean Davidson, and John, someone I just can't remember his other name. They were people that I employed while I was with Broadlands. I was a member of the Chamber of Commerce, and the people that I remember being in the Chamber of Commerce with on the committee were Mark Hervey, Wyn Raymond. Mark Hervey, by the way, was part of the Hervey group of car sales, car dealers. Wyn Raymond from Raymond Sullivan Solicitors, Sid McCauley, who owned the Hilton Haulage, Morris Smith was the manager of Wrightson's, and I was the chairman of the small business group that the Chamber of Commerce looked after. One particular bloke I remember very well, Arnold Priest, who was a regular for our meetings at the small business groups. The Gentlemen's Club, I was invited to become a member of the Gentlemen's Club. Dick Bishop had nominated me. And I remember going to see an accountant once, and he said to me, "Are you a member of the Gentlemen's Club yet, or the South Canterbury Club?" And I said, "No, not yet, but I think I've been nominated." Well, he said, "Let me tell you something. If you get in, don't tell anybody you're in." And I thought, that's strange. Why wouldn't you want to tell anybody you're a member of a club? But that's the way it was. It was a secret club. Rotary, I never joined Rotary. I was never invited to join Rotary. Charlie Pulley, who was working for me as a loans officer, he was invited to join Rotary because they thought he was the manager, but I was the manager. We sponsored bowls. Broadlands sponsored heavily into bowls because that was a lot of money in the bowling clubs. And also the Filly of the Year. We sponsored South Island Filly of the Year for the racing organisations. And we went round all the different racing meetings and the bowling club meetings. Okay, Broadlands was sold to, while I was there, it was sold to Fletcher Challenge, and Broadlands now is part of the BNZ. What I'm going to tell you now is the day my career as a big shot in town ended. Because all good things come to an end, and what happened to me was in the next decade, as I take my story through to the 5th decade of my life, which is 1981 to 1991. And it was the day that God brought me down to earth. So I'll come back later and tell you about the day God brought me down to earth.